So here's something I didn't realize until my 4th playthrough of Mass Effect 2. The choice you make at the end of Garrus's loyalty mission doesn't just affect that one conversation, it literally rewrites his entire character arc through Mass Effect 3. And I'm not talking about some throwaway dialogue either. I mean fundamental changes to who Garrus becomes as a person, how he leads, and whether he even survives certain scenarios. And honestly, most players probably never noticed because the game is so good at making both paths feel natural. Let me explain what I mean, because this is some of the best long-term character writing BioWare ever pulled off. Okay, so everyone remembers finding Garrus on Omega, right? He's Archangel, he's got this whole vigilante thing going on. His entire team just got murdered. Classic revenge setup. But here's what I think a lot of people miss on their first playthrough. Garrus isn't just angry about his team dying, he's fundamentally questioning everything he believed about justice and doing the right thing. Back in Mass Effect 1, Garrus was this idealistic C-Sec officer who was frustrated by regulations and red tape. He wanted to do good, but he felt like the system was stopping him. So in Mass Effect 2, he goes to Omega and tries it the other way. No rules, no oversight, just him and his crew cleaning up the worst criminals in the galaxy. And it gets every single one of them killed except him. That's the mental state he's in when you do his loyalty mission. He's not just hunting Sidonis for revenge, he's trying to prove to himself that his way was right, that he made the correct choice leading C-Sec, and that Sidonis deserves to die for betraying that vision. Does that make sense? So you track down Sidonis and you get to that bridge scene. Garrus has a sniper rifle aimed at Sidonis' head, and you're the spotter. And the game gives you this choice. Let Garrus take the shot, or convince him to let Sidonis walk away. Now, here's the thing. On my first playthrough, I let Garrus shoot him. I mean, Sidonis betrayed the team and got them all killed, right? Seems pretty straightforward. Garrus gets his revenge. Loyalty mission complete. Everyone's happy. Or so I thought. But then I did a Paragon playthrough years later and stopped Garrus from taking the shot. And I remember thinking, okay, he's probably gonna be pissed at me for this. But what actually happens is so much more interesting. Garrus doesn't get angry, he thanks you. He tells you that he needed someone to stop him, that he was so focused on revenge he couldn't see what it was turning him into. And that's when I realized BioWare wasn't writing a simple revenge story, they were writing about what kind of leader Garrus becomes based on how he processes this trauma. Here's where it gets really good. In Mass Effect 3, Garrus becomes an advisor to the Turian Primarch, right? He's helping coordinate the entire Turian military effort against the Reapers. And the game changes his dialogue and decisions based on whether he killed Sidonis or not. If Garrus killed Sidonis, he's more aggressive in his tactical recommendations. He's quicker to suggest high-risk, high-reward strategies that involve acceptable casualties. There's this conversation on the Normandy where he talks about the cost of war, and he's very matter-of-fact about it. Like, sometimes you have to sacrifice people to win. That's just how war works. It's pragmatic, maybe even a little cold. But if you convinced him to spare Sidonis, he's different. He's still the same skilled tactician, but he pushes back against strategies that treat soldiers as expendable. There's this moment where he talks about how every person on the battlefield is someone's friend, someone's brother. You can tell he's thinking about his team on Omega, about how they weren't just acceptable losses, they were people. I'm not saying one version is better than the other, by the way. That's actually what makes this so brilliant. Both versions of Garrus are compelling and feel true to his character. It's just, they're different people based on what you taught him about justice and mercy. Okay, so there's this scene in the Citadel DLC that absolutely sold me on how much this choice matters. You know, the one where Garrus has to deal with a Turian platoon that's gotten stuck in a bad position. The way he handles it is completely different based on the Sidonis choice. Renegade Garrus, the one who killed Sidonis, he evaluates the situation purely on tactical merit. Can they be saved without risking the larger mission? If not, they're acceptable losses. Move on. It's brutal, but it's the kind of decision military commanders have to make, you know? Paragon Garrus will push harder to find a solution that saves them. He'll take bigger risks, commit more resources because he can't just write off those soldiers. And here's the really subtle part. The game doesn't punish you for either choice. Both approaches can work. It's not saying one is right and one is wrong. It's saying that Garrus learned different lessons about command. And both lessons have value in different situations. I mean, that's some next level character writing, right? How many games actually track character development like that across 3 full games? Here's something else I noticed. The romance dialogue changes too if you're romancing Garrus. And I don't mean just a few different lines. I mean the entire dynamic of their relationship shifts based on the Sidonus decision. The romance Garrus who killed Sidonus is more protective of Shepard. He's seen what hesitation costs, so he's always pushing Shepard to make the hard calls quickly. There's this underlying current of we can't afford to be soft in their relationship. It's passionate, but there's also this edge to it. But if he spared Sidonus, the romance feels more balanced. He's more willing to second-guess his own instincts, to ask Shepard's opinion before committing to a course of action. There's more vulnerability there. You get the sense that he trusts Shepard not just as a soldier, but as someone who keeps him grounded. And look, I'm probably biased because I always romance Garrus, but I think the spared Sidonus romance is slightly more emotionally mature. Like the other version is exciting and intense, but this one feels like a real partnership between equals. There's this really easy-to-miss dialogue in Mass Effect 3 that drives home how much the Sidonus choice matters. When you're working with Primarch Victus, there's a moment where Garrus talks about his time as Archangel on Omega. If he killed Sidonus, he frames the whole Omega experience as a necessary lesson in harsh reality. He tells Victus that sometimes you have to become the monster to fight monsters, and that his team understood the risks when they signed up. It's very the ends justify the means, but if he spared Sidonus, the conversation is completely different. Garrus tells Victus that Omega taught him what happens when you lose sight of why you're fighting. That revenge and justice aren't the same thing, even when they look similar, and he specifically mentions that Shepard helped him see the difference before it was too late. The Primarch's response changes too, by the way. With Renegade Garrus, Victus sees him as a hardened veteran who made the necessary choices. With Paragon Garrus, Victus respects him as a leader who understands that victory without honor is just another kind of defeat. I didn't catch any of this on my first playthrough because, you're trying to save the galaxy from Reapers. You're not necessarily analyzing every conversation for subtle character callbacks, but going back through with the guide, it's all there. Okay, so here's why I think this is important beyond just Mass Effect. The Garrus loyalty mission represents something a lot of modern games have forgotten how to do: long-term consequence tracking that's about character development, not just plot outcomes. Most games with choice systems give you the illusion of choice, right? You pick option A or option B. Maybe you get a different ending cutscene, but the actual journey is pretty much the same. Mass Effect 2's loyalty missions, especially Garrus's, they don't work like that. The choice you make fundamentally changes who this character becomes over the next 40 or 50 hours of gameplay. And the crazy thing is, BioWare does it so naturally that you might not even notice unless you do multiple playthroughs. It's not like the game stops and goes, hey, remember that thing you did? Here's how it matters. It just integrates it into Garrus's personality going forward. That's really hard to pull off from a writing perspective. So there's this ongoing debate in the Mass Effect community about which choice is canon or which one is better. And honestly, I think that's missing the point entirely. The beauty of the Sidonus choice is that both options are completely valid interpretations of Garrus's character. Do you believe that Garrus needs closure through revenge to move forward? Or do you believe he needs to break the cycle of violence to become who he's meant to be? There's no wrong answer. It depends on your Shepard, your relationship with Garrus, and what you think justice means. I've seen people argue that letting Garrus kill Sidonus is actually the more compassionate choice because it gives him closure. And I've seen others argue that stopping him is more compassionate because it saves him from becoming someone he'd eventually hate. And you know what? Both arguments make sense to me. That's the mark of really good character writing. When both choices feel right depending on your perspective. If I have to pick though, I think sparing Sidonis creates the more interesting character arc for Garrus across all 3 games. The version of Garrus who learns mercy, who becomes a leader that cares about his people as individuals rather than assets, that feels like more meaningful growth to me. But I completely understand why people prefer the other option. There's something satisfying about Garrus getting justice for his fallen team. And the harder, more pragmatic Garrus in Mass Effect 3 is a valid response to living in a galaxy that's literally being destroyed by giant robot space squids. I guess what I'm saying is, your choice probably says more about you as a player than it does about what's right for Garrus. And I think that's intentional. Look, Mass Effect 2 came out in 2010. That's 15 years ago. And we're still talking about the depth of its character writing, the way choices ripple across games, the moral complexity of its loyalty missions. That should tell you something about how well crafted these stories were. The Garrus loyalty mission isn't just one of the best missions in Mass Effect 2, it's one of the best examples of long-term character consequence design in any video game period. The fact that one choice in one mission can fundamentally reshape a character's personality and decision-making process across an entire sequel is, that's the kind of thing we should be talking about when we discuss what makes games as a medium special. So here's my question for you. Which choice did you make with Sidonis and why? And more importantly, did you notice how it changed Garrus in Mass Effect 3? Or did you only realize it on a second playthrough like me? Let me know in the comments because I'm genuinely curious if other people caught this stuff on their first run, or if I'm just oblivious. And if you want more deep dives into Mass Effect's writing and character development, definitely subscribe, because I've got like 6 more videos planned about this trilogy. Thanks for watching.